a crisis of leadership. While the US may still be fighting the virus years after other countries have moved on. Background. I believe that the US may continue to see very high daily cases and will still be struggling with this pandemic long after, maybe 2 years or more, many other countries have largely returned to normal or modified normalcy and have either outright defeated or mostly controlled and moved on from COVID-19. Even as I write this, New Zealand has returned to, quote, normal, entirely containing the virus. Meanwhile, the virus spreads uncontrolled and exponentially in the United States, a national embarrassment to say the least. Ultimately, this suggests that we are not just in a biological crisis, but a crisis of leadership. We have been led here. A pandemic is by nature a national crisis and therefore requires a national response. At present, we are experiencing a patchwork response, which is what would occur in the multi-state framework of the United States when the purportedly unifying office of the president either abdicates or is absent, whether by intention or by incompetence or some combination. So why a national response? Well, this question is in fact misleading. The correct answer is that there needs to be multiple layers of leadership in organization, national, state, and regional. It's not just one or the other, it's at all levels. Just like a 50-piece symphony, we need a conductor to make sure we get through the piece together. A coordinated, unified response is necessary to lead a multitude of states as a whole out of the crisis, to unify our strategic approach, to unify the sharing of information and best practices. But it's not just logistics and supply chains. We need to rally the collective morale of the people around a common goal and common understanding of what victory even means. Are we 50% of the way to victory? Are we 10%? When will we know? Who will tell us? Without a guiding voice, we the citizens will remain in darkness and uncertainty. In a state of continual uncertainty, we will end up with a patchwork of responses. Some people will be angry, some will be anxious, some will be less risk-averse and go back to prior habits. Some will be more risk-averse and find themselves trapped indoors, uncertain if a trip to the store or the dentist is safe or how safe. But one thing will be certain, and that is our uncertainty. So what does leadership look like? A leader leads by example. A leader rallies morale. Where are we in the fight? A leader incentivizes and motivates action. A leader unifies our resource management. And a leader empowers a pandemic task force. The pandemic task force has been done before, but it seemed to have fallen through. The president should not take the central role, but should delegate roles out. We need a daily readout. We need a strong, powerful scientific advisor. We need an international ambassador to learn from what other nations are doing. And probably we need a psychologist for advice to an anxious nation. A note on freedom. Some seem to decry the use of masks, the mandating of curfews or even store closures. There are some limitations to what we formerly perceived as day-to-day freedoms. The fact that some level of contention has emerged into the mainstream is again a testament to the vacuum of leadership. It is at such times that such previously enjoyed freedoms are diminished that a leader, a head of state, needs to tell the nation why their sacrifice is important, why diminishment of freedoms today means more freedom tomorrow, faster and more resolutely, once the crisis has abated. The analogy of citizens as soldiers in a battle against the disease is not far wrong, but we lack the general, the leader, to rally us toward that objective. So the national plan, we need to stop the exponential spread. Mandatory lockdowns once again for a period of months. All remote food delivery, for example. We need to massively ramp up testing and tracing capacity on a per capita, per day basis based on successful models with a quick turnaround time. In addition to that, we need to roll out a plan for national victory and get buy-in from the nation with concrete objectives and tracked benchmarks. Finally, we need to institute fast response teams to put a lid on future outbreaks if cases go over a very small number, such as 5, for example, to prevent future outbreaks from shutting us down again. So in summary, we need to stop the spread, we need to massively ramp up testing and tracing capacity, we need to roll out a plan for victory, and we need to institute fast response to remain nimble into the future. This is but an example of what leadership might look like in this moment of crisis. Without such leadership, we may remain stuck in the dark well of uncertainty for months or years until we are rescued by someone outside of the Trump administration.